Hello, my name is Sam. I'm from usephotoshop.com, a free tutorial, template, and photo resource. In this video, I'm going to help you understand how to use the Art History brush tool in Adobe Photoshop. I'm running the most current version at this time, Photoshop CS5. If you don't already have an image open, go to File, Open, or hold Control and press the letter O on your keyboard to open a new file. When I click that, you will see this window open, and inside this window I can select a file to open. I'm going to use this photo here. We also need a few windows open. We will do that by going to Window, and first we'll open up the Layers window by going to Layers, or by simply pressing F7 on our keyboard. We will see the Layers window open. We also need the History window, which we will find by going to Window, History, and you will see the History window open up. Just to save some space, I'm going to mate these two together here, so I can toggle back and forth by clicking on these tabs now, and it just takes up less space on my screen. I also need the Tools window open, which I can find by going to Window, Tools. To find the tool, it's located in the Tools window, fifth from the top on the right hand side, and may be hiding behind the History brush tool. If it is, simply left click and hold down. You will see this menu appear, and you can select the Art History brush tool. The keyboard shortcut is Y, meaning if I'm using another tool and I want to use the Art History brush tool, simply by hitting the letter Y on my keyboard, I will be taken back to that tool. Let me show you how it works. First of all, to see the effect, I have to first apply a change. And let me first do that by applying a new layer over top of this. We will add a transparent layer by clicking on this little tab down here, which is of course the shortcut for creating a new layer. I will click on that, and you will see Photoshop has inserted a transparent layer on top of this. Of course, we can't see it because it's transparent. Let's insert some color into this, and we can do that by selecting the Paint Bucket tool, which the keyboard shortcut is the letter G. We want to ensure that our foreground color is white. We will do that by clicking on the foreground color and setting it to white, and clicking OK. We will apply this to the entire layer by clicking anywhere on this layer with this layer selected. We will see it paints this layer. Of course, the other layer is still there, it's just hiding behind, and we can see it if we hide this layer, which I just painted over, by clicking on the little eye next to the layer. Now, to use the Art History brush, open up the History window over here, and we can see the changes we've already made. What the History palette does, or History window, is displays all the changes that we've made to our image. First of all, we've opened up our image, we've created a new layer, and we've used the Paint Bucket tool. You will see if I click on these, it will take me back to that point in history. Of course, there's no change between the new layer and open times in history, because you can't see the new layer I've created. But when I click on the Paint Bucket, you will see that I can quite evidently see that we've painted over this layer with the Paint Bucket. Now, you will also notice that besides these layers, there is a logo that looks just like the History brush tool. And whatever point in time this logo is beside is the point in time that the History brush tool or the Art History brush tool will restore the image tool. We will select our original image, which is right up at the top, and make sure that our selection is beside it. Now, to use the tool, make sure it's selected. Once again, it's fifth from the top. And so this is just like any other brush tool. We have our brush presets up here. We can change the size, the hardness. I like to use a pretty soft brush. with a decent size. And this, of course, has all the modes, opacity, and here are some options unique to this tool. First of all, there's the style. This is where all the magic happens with this tool. First of all, let's select loose long, just to get some paint on our canvas. You will see when I click and paint on this layer, we can see that it is picking up a source from the layer below, which is of course the layer I have selected over here as the source for the Art History brush tool. I'll zoom out a bit by holding down Control and pressing the minus key on my keyboard, just so I can see my canvas a bit better. And I will continue drawing with this tool, just to ensure I cover all of the white spot. I can even make this tool a bit bigger to help me out by pressing the right bracket key on my keyboard. I can also decrease the size by pressing the left bracket key on my keyboard. And I'll finish painting over this, making sure all the white spots are covered. Now you can see it is picking up some detail of the background, or at least a source of it, but it's very blurry. You can't make out the image. We can help define the image by lowering down the brush size. So I'll minimize the brush size by pressing the left bracket key on my keyboard. You will see when I now go over it, I get a bit more detail, not enough to see what's going on just yet, but certainly a bit more detail. I can increase the detail even more by changing the style of the brush. I can change this to loose medium, and when I do, the brush strokes get smaller and I get a bit more detail. To get even more detail, I will lower my brush size once again, and you will see my brush gets even smaller, and when I draw, you will see even more detail start to appear. Once again, I can change the style of the brush. This time, let's change it to tight curl long, because the point with this tool is really to experiment and try different things. And let's continue to lower our brush size by using the left bracket key on our keyboard and applying this tool all over the photograph. And let's change our style once again. This time let's change it to loose curl. There we go, and we will lower our brush size again by holding down the left bracket key on our keyboard. And now when I draw over this, you will see I get very short lines, and when I get over the image itself, it's going to look more defined. But perhaps this isn't the best style of brush to be using. Perhaps something like tight medium would work better. Let's try it. And you will see when I draw over this with tight medium, you can really see the details start to come out. And I'll just finish filling in the rest of this, making sure I hit every part of this image to bring out the detail. And as you will see, as I draw over each little part, the detail increases and sharpens. And we are really getting that look like a painting right now. And there we go, we're getting quite a bit more detail, and I will lower the brush size even more to get even more detail in this photo. And we'll do that again by holding down the left bracket key. And you will see when I draw now, I'll zoom in on this, I'm getting even more detail around this image. And I can get in here around the hair. And let's make our brush even smaller by, once again, hitting the left bracket key on our keyboard. And let's change the brush style from tight medium to tight short to get even more detail. And you will see when I draw now over this image, I get much more detail of the face and the eyes. Now, preferably, you'd want to take your time and go over the entire image with this brush, perhaps even using a smaller brush to get even more of the intricate detail out of this photo to give it a very lifelike painting look. So there's a quick tutorial on how to use the Art History brush tool in Adobe Photoshop. I'm Sam from usephotoshop.com.